Module 1, Eat Good, Feel Good, Look Good. Video 2, Macronutrients. Carbs, simple versus complex. Protein, biological value. Fat, good versus bad. Remember from the last segment, we discussed the importance of my plate, servings, and calories. Well, now we will discuss the differences between macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients consist of fats, carbohydrates, proteins, water, and fiber. Micronutrients consist of vitamins and minerals. Macronutrients are essential, provide calories for energy, and are nutrient substances needed for growth, metabolism, and for other body functions. Example are carbs, proteins, and fats. Micronutrients are essential, but in small amounts. They enable the body to produce enzymes, hormones, and other substances essential for growth and development. Examples are iron, sodium, magnesium, and zinc. However, for the purpose of this segment, we will mainly focus on the three main macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Let's begin with carbohydrates, which are the body's most important and readily available source of energy. They are a necessary part of a healthy diet for both kids and adults. The two main forms of carbohydrates are simple carbohydrates, or simple sugars, including fructose, glucose, and lactose, which also are found in nutritious whole fruits. And complex carbs, or starches, are found in foods such as starchy vegetables, whole grains, rice, and breads and cereals. So let me ask you, what are the two forms of carbohydrates? Do you remember? Well, if you answered simple and complex, you are correct. All carbohydrates are broken down into simple sugars, which are absorbed into the bloodstream. As the sugar level rises, the pancreas releases the hormone insulin, which is needed to move sugar from the blood into the cells, where the sugar can be used as energy. The carbs in some foods, mostly those that contain simple sugars and highly refined grains, such as white flour and white rice, are easily broken down and cause blood sugar levels to rise quickly. Complex carbs, found in whole grains, on the other hand, are broken down more slowly, allowing blood sugars to rise gradually. A diet that's high in foods that cause a rapid rise in blood sugar may increase a person's risk of developing health problems like diabetes. The glycemic index measures how carbs affect your blood glucose levels. High glycemic index carbs cause blood glucose levels to spike and then crash. Low glycemic index carbs are digested and released slowly for sustained energy, whereas the glycemic load estimates the impact of carbohydrate consumption using the glycemic index while taking into account the amount of carbohydrates that are consumed in a serving. Glycemic load is a glycemic index weighted measure of carbohydrate content. You need carbs as they break down into glucose in your body, providing fuel for most organs, our brain, and muscles during exercise. For the glycemic index, the range is as follows: low glycemic index 55 or less, medium 56 to 69, and high 70 or greater. And for one serving of food, a glycemic load greater than 20 is considered high. A load of 11 to 19 is considered medium, and a glycemic load of 10 or less is considered low. For example, watermelon has a glycemic index of 72. 100 grams of serving of watermelon has 5 grams of available carbohydrates. It contains a lot of water, making the calculation 5 times 72 divided by 100 equal 3.6. Your glycemic load approximately 4. I had mentioned in the previous segment that you want to limit the amount of protein you consume, and in this segment, we will discuss more on the function of protein and why we need it. Protein is found in foods from both plants and animals. Protein is made up of hundreds or thousands of smaller units called amino acids, which are linked to one another in long chains. The sequence of amino acids determines each protein's unique structure and its specific function. Protein can be found in beef, pork, chicken, game, and wild meats, fish and seafood, eggs, soybeans, and other legumes. Good sources of protein are beans, legumes, seeds like flax seeds or nuts, quinoa, avocado, beets, and kale. Proteins are basic building blocks. They repair and replace tissues. They can contribute to transportation formation, clotting, and defense. Make your hair, nails, skin, blood, bones, and muscles. So, is protein only found in foods from animal sources? Well, if you answered no, you are correct. Protein is found in both animal and plant sources. So let's dive a bit deeper now. When a protein contains the essential amino acids in a proportion similar to that required by the body, it has a high biological value. When one or more of the essential amino acids are missing or present in few numbers, the protein has a low biological value. The biological value of a protein is a number from 100 down to 0 that describes how well it is absorbed by the body. More precisely, it is a measure of the percentage of the protein that is actually incorporated into the proteins of the human body. The table of biological values shows that the protein in eggs, white and yolk, have the highest biological value, whereas rice, brown, and quinoa have higher biological value than beef or chicken. Of course, this is per gram of protein consumed. Beef and chicken are much denser in protein per serving than rice is. Now let's move on to the third macronutrient, which is fats. Did you know that the body uses fat as a fuel? Well, fats are nutrients in food that the body uses to build nerve tissue, including the brain and nerves and hormones. If fats eaten aren't burned as energy or used as building blocks, they're stored in the body in the cells. This is the body's way of thinking ahead. By saving fat for future use, it plans for times when food might be scarce. Fat is a great source of energy, but does have twice the amount of calories as carbohydrates or protein. For example, 1 gram of fat provides 9 calories, whereas 1 gram of carbohydrates only provides 4 calories. Fat gives food flavor and texture, but it's also high in calories, and excess amounts of fats foods can cause many health problems. For kids and teens, desserts and snacks including potato chips, chocolate, cakes, donuts, pastries, and cookies are a significant source of fat. Kids also get fat from whole milk products and high fat meats such as bacon, hot dogs, and fattier cuts of meat. Fast food and takeout meals tend to have more fat than home cooking, and in restaurants, fried dishes are the highest in fat content. Fat also often hides in foods in the form of creamy, cheesy, or buttery sources of dressings. As we can see from the slide, the American Heart Association recommends replacing your bad saturated fats with good unsaturated fats as part of a healthy eating pattern. So when it comes to these 3 types of fats, an easy way to remember are the 3 L's. You love it, unsaturated and polyfats, limit it when it comes to saturated fats, and you lose it when it's artificial trans fat or hydrogenated oils. Now that we have covered macronutrients, let's move on to the next segment on micronutrients.